Howdy, y'all. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this April 25th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell so you stay caught up. Alright, so yesterday we saw how Elisha has now stepped up to become the prophet of God in Israel, with Elijah being taken up into heaven and his first couple acts. Now we're going to jump forward a couple of chapters here and go to chapter 5 in the book of 2 Kings, and we're going to learn about a man named Naaman. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Naaman. So, real quick, Naaman is a military leader in the Aramean army. He's one of their more respected and one of their better leaders of the army. But unfortunately for him, he's got a problem. He's also a leper, so his skin is diseased, and he's but dying a slow and painful death. Okay, so we're going to see how he takes care of that and what happens here. So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 5 today, starting in verse 1. Naaman was the captain of the army of the king of Aram. He was very important to his king because the Lord used him to lead Aram to victory. Naaman was a great and powerful man, but he was also sick with leprosy. The Aramean army sent many groups of soldiers to fight in Israel. One time they took a little girl from the land of Israel. This girl became a servant of Naaman's wife. She said to his wife, "I wish that my master would meet the prophet who lives in Samaria. He could heal Naaman of his leprosy." Naaman went to the king and told him what the Israelite girl said. Then the king of Aram said, "Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman went to Israel. He took 750 pounds of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of clothes as gifts. Naaman took the letter from the king of Aram to the king of Israel. The letter said, "Now this letter is to show that I am sending my servant Naaman to you. Cure his leprosy." When the king of Israel had read the letter, he tore his clothes to show that he was sad and upset. He said, "Am I God? I don't have the power over life and death. So why did the king of Aram send a man sick with leprosy for me to heal? Think about it, and you will see that it is a trick. The king of Aram is trying to start a fight." Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes. So Elisha sent this message to the king. "Why did you tear your clothes? Let Naaman come to me. Then he will know there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots to Elisha's house and stood outside the door. Elisha sent a messenger to Naaman who said, "Go and wash in the Jordan River 7 times. Then your skin will be healed, and you will be pure and clean." Naaman became angry and left. He said, "I thought Elisha would at least come out and stand in front of me and call on the name of the Lord his God. I thought he would wave his hand over my body and heal the leprosy. Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus are better than all the water in Israel. Why can't I wash in those rivers in Damascus and become clean?" He was very angry and turned to leave. But Naaman's servants went to him and talked to him. They said, "Father, if the prophet told you to do some great thing, you would do it. Isn't that right?" But he said, "Wash, and you will be pure and clean." So Naaman did what the man of God said. He went down and dipped himself in the Jordan River 7 times, and he became pure and clean. His skin became soft like the skin of a baby. Naaman and his whole group came back to the man of God. He stood before Elisha and said, "Look, I now know there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. Now please accept a gift from me." But Elisha said, "The Lord is the one I serve, and as surely as he lives, I will not accept any gift." Naaman tried hard to make Elisha take the gift, but he refused. Then Naaman said, "If you will not accept this gift, at least do this for me. Let me have enough dirt from Israel to fill the baskets on 2 of my mules. I ask this because I will never again offer any burnt offering or sacrifice to any other gods. I will offer sacrifices only to the Lord, and I pray that the Lord will forgive me for this. When my master goes to the temple of Rimmon to worship that false god, he will want to lean on me for support. So I must bow down in the temple of Rimmon. I ask the Lord now to forgive me when that happens." Then Elisha said to Naaman, Go in peace." So Naaman left Elisha and went a short way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, "Look, my master has let Naaman the Aramean go without accepting the gift that he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after Naaman and get something from him." So Gehazi ran to Naaman. Naaman saw someone running after him. He stepped down from the chariot to meet Gehazi. Naaman said, "Is everything all right?" Gehazi said, "Yes, everything is all right. My master has sent me. He said, 'Look, 2 young men came to me from the group of prophets in the hill country of Ephraim. Please give them 75 pounds of silver and 2 changes of clothes.'" Naaman said, "Please, take 150 pounds. He persuaded Gehazi to take the silver. Naaman put 150 pounds of silver in 2 bags and took 2 changes of clothes. Then he gave these things to 2 of his servants. The servants carried these things for Gehazi. When Gehazi came to the hill, he took these things from the servants. He sent the servants away, and they left. Then he hid those things in the house. Gehazi came in and stood before his master. Elisha said to Gehazi, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" Gehazi answered, "I didn't go anywhere." Elisha said to him, "That is not true. My heart was with you when the man turned from his chariot to meet you. This is not the time to take money, clothes, olives, grapes, sheep, cattle, or men and women servants. Now you and your children will catch Naaman's disease. You will have leprosy forever." When Gehazi left Elisha, his skin was as white as snow. He was sick with leprosy. All right, well, let's hit on a few points here. First, Naaman. So, Naaman's an Aramean. He's not an Israelite. He's not a Jew. He's a Gentile, okay? Gentile is just the word for non-Jew. And this is another example of God who dealt almost exclusively during this time in the Old Testament with Israel. This is a time when God made an exception for a Gentile in this case. So Naaman, sick with leprosy, an incurable disease, a slow and painful death, learns about a man who can heal him in Israel. At first he goes to the king, thinking that, surely it's the king. He's a powerful man. He's got this. And the king's like, no, I can't do it. I don't have that power. But then Elijah steps in and says, "Hey, I will help you." And he tells him to go and bathe in the Jordan River 7 times. Now, the reason that's significant is because I imagine the Jordan River is a lot like the Trinity in Fort Worth in Texas, where it's not what you think of as a very clean river. It's, very dirty and grimy and slimy, full of moss and green stuff and all this, just icky stuff. Probably smells bad too. And so Naaman, when he hears that he has to go and get in this water 7 times to wash himself, to cure himself, he's probably like, "What? You want me to go in there? There are waters in Damascus that are 100 times better than any water in Israel. I mean, why? No, I'm not doing that." And so he's about to just give up and go. Now, thankfully for his servants, they persuaded him to go. It's like, hey, he's just asking you to get in the river. Just for a little bit, wash yourself, and you'll be clean. I mean, if he asked you to, do something even greater than that, wouldn't you do it? So he's like, "Fine, I'll do it." And of course, he goes in the river 7 times and comes out, and he's completely cured. His skin is like a baby. It's smooth and silky and soft, and immediately everything changes. It's like, oh, my eyes are opened. Now I know that there is no God besides the Lord in Israel. And sometimes, and this is a lesson for us too, sometimes God makes us do strange things or doesn't always give us the full picture. But that's where faith comes in. Faith is believing in God that he will do what is needed and what is right. Okay. So now then he goes back to Elisha, thanks him, promises him that he's going to only worship God, and asks for forgiveness to his credit when his master, the king, goes to this false god temple. Because the king literally is going to lean on him for support, use him as kind of a crutch. And so he's just asking God to forgive him for just being in there, because he knows that it's a false god. And so credit to him for that. Okay, the next, poor Gehazi. He let his greed get the better of him. Naaman brought all this stuff with him, thinking that he would have to give a gift to please the man of God, to get what he wanted. But of course, God doesn't require anything from us. God doesn't need anything from us except our hearts. He doesn't need our material possessions. And Elisha is, perfectly content with what he's got. He doesn't need any of that stuff either. God is providing for him. But unfortunately, Gehazi wants to take advantage of that, tries to get at least some of it for himself, and in the end, he is stricken with leprosy as well as the rest of his family. And then finally, it's a small point, but something that we should really consider here is the servant girl, the Israelite servant girl at the very beginning, who was, basically a prisoner of war, captured when the Arameans attacked Israel and is forced in servitude to Naaman's house. She didn't have to say anything about Elisha. She didn't have to tell them that there was a chance for Naaman to be cured of leprosy. She could have kept her mouth shut, but she said anything. She said it. She told them. It's like, hey, there's a man in Israel who can help Naaman. So a lot of credit to her for helping her enemy. All right. Well, that's all for today. We're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.